used to be an introvert. I now call myself an ambivert because not quite an extrovert, but I'm in the middle. I'm a very people oriented. I like it, And in meeting people, believe it or not, Logan, I formulate more stories in my head going forward.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you were just
Logan
joining
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford. Streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
What happens when the person meant to hold a family together is suddenly torn away from it? I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look at a powerful book. It is called Miles to Go Before Redemption. It is written by a terrific author. His name is Mark Atkins. He has penned a gripping family drama about loss, endurance, buried truths, and the kind of secret that can change everything. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Mark, thank you so much for joining us here today.
No, thank you, Logan Crawford. This is my pleasure. It really is.
Pleasure to have you on the show. Let's talk a little bit about the inspiration about this story. Does it come from real life? Is it borrowed a little bit from real life? Is it purely imagination? Tell us about the inspiration.
Okay, it's a combination of a few things. I come from a very small family. I'm the youngest of two. I have an older sister and my mother and father. So it's a very small family. I've always been fascinated about the dynamics of larger families. I've always had friends that have larger families, and when I went to visit them, watching how that all works, because it's almost like it was a team effort, and we never really had to deal with that in my family because it was just us, it was a few of us. So watching people pitching and doing what they do on a day-to-day basis really intrigued me. So I've always wanted to explore what that was like. So I interviewed quite a few people who came from large families, so I can get some insight on that.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love the poet Robert Frost, and I love his poem Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening, where he says, "These woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." Your book kind of borrows from that a little bit with Miles to Go Before Redemption. Talk to us a little bit about the title.
Yes, the title Miles to Go Before Redemption is almost a bit of a play on words because the lead protagonist's name is Miles Johnson. So that's part of the Miles there. But the Miles to Go Before Redemption stems from the journey that he has to go through this book to almost clear the name somewhat of his dad, because there were some misconceptions in terms of why his dad he was incarcerated at one point in the book, why he was incarcerated, and at the end to find out exactly who his father was. There's another aspect of his father's life, I guess, that was hidden, and there's a secret in the book that comes out at the end, but it all comes full circle, and therefore the redemption is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great title. It's very provocative, and I think we all have miles to go before we are fully redeemed. I think that's part of the journey of our lives. Talk to us a little bit about your vision for this book. Have you ever envisioned it as a film?
I have not. It's funny you asked that, Logan, because there are quite a few people that have asked me, have you ever thought about making this, having this become a TV movie or a feature film or even a play? And I guess my foresight didn't go that far. I was trying to write the book with the most intentional and authenticity as I possibly could for the moment, and sometimes that's part to my detriment. I live more in the moment, being an introvert. I lived a lot in my head. I had a lot of creativity, but I wouldn't let a lot of it go beyond where it went. So I think now I'm starting to finally think perhaps there's a little extra material there to take it to a point where it can be adapted, probably for a film or maybe a play.
Yeah, I think it would be a terrific film. So, Hollywood, if you're listening, here's a book that's ready to go. It's got great characters, great settings, great conflicts, and a truly interesting subject matter. Now, this writing career of yours is a little bit different than your day job, so to speak. You've spent decades working in the securities industry on Wall Street. Tell us a little bit about using the left side of your brain now to write, and how it helps inform your work.
Yes, for a large portion of my life, I worked in various security firms, GS Brothers, Solomon Smith Barney, Citigroup, where I worked in operations. So yes, a lot of things involving mathematics and figures predominated my day, pretty much. So writing, being the left side of your brain, was the last thing that I was thinking of. I was
Yeah.
pretty much doing what finances falls. And then I believe I got to the point where I was laid off. 9/11, I got laid off around 9/11. I got into sales for a while. That really wasn't for me. And I kind of like fell into, I had a friend who, he was a director in security, and he said, "Why don't you interview for this supervisory security job?" I said, "I know nothing about security." He said, "Well, you know about Wall Street, and this happens to be on Wall Street." So he
Mm,
says, so I took the job, and I've been doing that ever since. But
wonderful.
I had this thing where I meet so many people every day. I've developed. I used to be an introvert. I now call myself an ambivert because not quite an extrovert, but I'm in the middle. I'm a very people oriented. I like it, And in meeting people, believe it or not, Logan, I format more stories in my head going forward. You get to know people. Everyone's walk of life is a little different, and everyone has a story.
Yeah,
I tell it, everyone has a story. So that's where
exactly.
how I start.
And being around people, interacting with people is great exposure therapy for introverts because you just learn to enjoy their company after a while and the interaction, even if you're wired primarily differently. I think after a while, being exposed to a lot of people really fires the right side of your brain to make those connections. And the storytelling part of your life is now fascinating. This story surrounds the concept of resilience in many ways, how families survive tragedy and keep moving forward. Talk to us about that aspect.
Yes. Once again, in speaking to interviewing all the people that have these families, they will tell me how it's not always great. You see when you come to our house, you come Thanksgiving, you come to Christmas, you see the good part, but they tell me there's a lot of downside. There's loss. In having a large family, yeah, you lose people. People pass away, people get sick,
Yeah.
people lose their jobs. There's the whole aspect of it's life. It just becomes life.
Yeah.
So, but the resiliency, I guess I've always had the affinity when I watch movies or I read books. I always had the affinity for the underdog. I watch sporting events. I've always had the affinity for the underdog. And in this book, this is truly kind of an underdog movie because it starts out one way. It's a middle class family that's nothing's wrong. It fills up the community, and then they kind of hit this bump in the road where they're no longer that middle class family and they're looked at differently. So they now become that underdog family that you root for. So
Yeah.
and there's that resiliency that strains throughout the court of the rest.
Absolutely. Two of your favorite authors are two of my favorite authors as well, Malcolm Gladwell and James Baldwin. Talk to us a little bit about what you like about their work and how it's influenced you.
Well, James Baldwin was introduced to me many years ago, and I was very young by my dad. My dad was he's he absorbed books literally. He ingested books. That was my dad, and he had a whole collection of James Baldwin and Wright. And he told me this man reads. He writes about truth. He writes about urban experience, but he writes about life.
Mhm.
He sees from perspective, and I guess being also an African American, I was able to relate to a lot of what he was saying. Right? James Baldwin grew up in a different time, but a lot of the principles and a lot of things he was saying were still true today, even to his death. Malcolm Gladwell is wow. Just reading his books, he has such expansive knowledge of like psychology and
Hmm.
pretty much why we do what we do, and that's something we every day we don't explore. And just little things that we do, habit forming things that make us who we are. Things like that. Outliers.
Exactly.
I recommended that book to so many people. Outliers, The Tipping Point, things like
Yep.
that. Goliath. Those are books that I recommend. Yeah, until people didn't want to hear it anymore. I even gave a few away at Christmas.
Great. Great. They make great gifts. Blink is awesome also. The way we
Oh, yeah.
size people up within milliseconds of meeting them. But Tipping Point, like you said, Outliers, he is really a thoughtful guy. And it makes for intriguing work. And I think it expands our brains a little bit when we read what he's thinking about. So I'm right on the same page with you. Now, I understand you have some fun, little known facts about Miles to Go Before Redemption that most readers would never guess. You want to share some of those with us?
Let's see. One fun little fact. Well, this book, believe it or not, this book took me about 13 years to write. It was
Hmm.
a lot of on and off. If I can disclose here, I've had a litany of different surgeries during my time. I've had open heart surgery,
Hmm.
diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease. Both my parents passed away. I got married. I got divorced, um, which is pain in its own self. My job went through a restructuring. That wasn't fun, but I
Yeah.
survived. Uh, yeah, these were some of the things that while you're trying to stay focused creatively, um, as they say, life gets in the way. Life really got in the way. I got roadblocks, but I
Yeah.
was not be third. I still made it through. So that's one of those little facts of it. Other than that, other little facts. Let's see. Miles to Go Before Redemption. I knew I wanted to write a book about family. Even though I don't have my own family and own, I don't have children, but I knew I love the dynamic of how that works. So I wanted to write a harmonious book where the parents are the principles of the parents roll down to the protagonist, the main character, which is Miles. He is courageous, he is brave, he is kind. He is the kind of person that you would like to aspire to be and
Hmm.
without any seat or fanfare. He is that person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to us about what's next for you in your career.
Okay. Well, I've been writing a book about kind of a medical journey on having lupus, the
Hmm.
autoimmune disease, lupus, and my open heart surgery,
Hmm.
which was an ordeal in itself because like I never thought that if ever I'd have open heart surgery. I've always been very healthy. I've always had physicals every year, and this was just diagnosed one day, routine physical, something going on in my heart, and it
Hmm.
was an aneurysm. I had an aneurysm. It's small, but it's growing. An aortic aneurysm. I'm sorry, yes.
Hmm.
And apparently, I also had a leaky valve. So my valve was leaking. So I had to have that replaced. I have a calf tissue on my chest now. So, and the aortic aneurysm was replaced. So
Yeah.
I am healthy. I'm fine. I see my doctor every year. My cardiologist, one of the best cardiologists I've ever seen, and I go forward with that. Lupus, I
Yeah.
take medication, so I have that under control. I have my good days and my bad days, but for the most part, I'm very functional. I'm
Great.
extremely functional.
Great.
So
Glad to hear your health is trending better. What an ordeal going through all of that with your heart and then having lupus as well. But you look great. You seem
thank
energetic, and
you.
that's what matters. And the doctors, fortunately, today can do great things. Now, I understand you like to play Scrabble a little bit, so you know a few more words than I do, I guess.
I live for the triple word scores. Sure. I sure. Yeah, Scrabble. It it strengthens your mind too. I
Yeah.
talked to a neurologist, and he said, Scrabble and crossword puzzles, believe it or not, playing Sudoku and doing math problems. are ways to help to stave off possible Alzheimer's and dementia. So
Yeah.
it just happens to be Scrabble. I love Scrabble. So
Yeah.
it plays into, trying to stay healthy neurologically. But I do love Scrabble. I've been playing it for many, many.
Exactly. And trivia is another hobby of yours that expands the brains. Let me ask you this one caught my eye that you love old movies. Tell us a little bit about some of the movies that you like.
Okay, now, mind you, I get that from my dad. My dad is a child of the Depression, so
Hmm.
we're talking. He was born in 1928,
Yeah.
and the Depression lasted until 1938, 39. So
Yeah.
movies from the 30s, 40s, and 50s are not foreign to me at all. So in my age group, obviously I'm a bit of an anomaly. They look at me and they go, how do you know that movie? Why do you? Yeah. Oh, High Noon is one of my favorites. Huge
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart, and the Maltese Falcon, any of those with Casablanca,
Yeah.
uh, Joan Crawford, Ben Davis. I'm a huge fan. Claude Rains and G. Robinson. I can go on and on and on. This podcast would have to close down because I with Burt Lancaster, actors.
Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you. I love old films. I love old black and white films. Cary Grant is one of my favorite. He made a lot of great films with Hitchcock that were wonderful, and Bogart, and all of the others you mentioned as well. Before we leave you today, when folks are done with the book, Miles to Go Before Redemption, what do you hope sticks with them? What do you hope stays with them?
Oh, definitely. My book, the major message in this book, never give up. Never give up. Just when things look darkest, because there's a period in the book which is looking pretty bleak. Never give up. There's always tomorrow, and that's always one of my favorite sayings. Today, yesterday, and a few days ago could have been the darkest and bleakest, but tomorrow there's always promise. The sun will come out that next day. If not next day,
Exactly. Yeah, without a doubt. It's always darkest before the dawn. So keep on slugging, keep on pushing, keep on walking towards the light. The name of the book we've been exploring today is called Miles to Go Before Redemption. It is a powerful story of a family tested by imprisonment, tragedy, responsibility, and long buried secrets, all building toward a dramatic and unforgettable climax. Mark, thank you so much for joining me here today.
no, thank you very much. It's been my pleasure, Logan Crawford. I looked at a few of your interviews. You are masterful at this. You make it look effortless. You're
Yep.
masterful at this, and I look forward to seeing more of your interviews.
Well, I appreciate that so much. I've got some good news. I'm going to be in the upcoming Exorcist movie with Scarlett Johansson. We're filming that next week in New York City, as a matter of fact, in Astoria. So that's something to look forward to, and that should be fun. Hopefully, I don't get too spooked working on that set. That was a scary movie, the original one. Mark, thanks again. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.